I'm Cory.
And I'm Tymme.
I moved out to California from the East Coast.
I came to LA from Hawaii.
The goal was to be a star.
So I ended up in Hollywood.
For 15 years, I warmed up crowds on American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, and even spent the last decade touring the world as a DJ.
I started as a dancer and performed for artists like Aaliyah, Missy Elliott, and Will Smith. I then authored 3 books and became a pastor.
But through it all, something was missing.
I felt this desire to be a part of something real.
A movement that would change communities.
To tell stories of strength built on people's passions.
Driven by their courage and giving the world hope.
So we've come together to celebrate unsung heroes from around the world. This is the Rise Effect.
All right, what is going on? We are live.
Yep,
This is Tymme
Reitz
Live. Woo! Okay. Barely live, man. I am
Barely.
like, oh, I don't
just
know
got
what
back
time
from the
zone I'm
country,
in.
so-
I don't know what time zone I'm in, but thank you all for tuning in right now. TRE Live, like we do every final Tuesday of the
Yep.
month to discuss our topics. Good to see you again, man.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in months.
I've been gone for 2 weeks,
Okay, 2 weeks.
but it
feels
feels
like
like
months,
it.
yeah.
It feels like it, yeah. So here we are. This is our second live, and what we like to do during these live sessions is basically sit down, talk about, what we were able to, what episodes aired this
Yeah.
month, anything that resonated with
Dissect
us.
this topic and kind of share our personal thoughts, what we encountered with
Yeah.
our guests. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun for the people to tune in, especially if they're able to catch some of these episodes, which we hope you did because it was an incredible topic.
Yeah, we had a good month. Why don't you let them know it's February. What was our theme this month?
It was called Rise to Self-Love.
Mm.
It was called Rise to Self-Love, which I think is one of the most important topics for individuals because I think that I find that one of the hardest areas that we struggle with is to accept ourselves, love ourselves, to have grace for
Yeah.
ourselves, to forgive ourselves, to not resent ourselves, and to really nurture who we are and feel comfortable and strong about our identity. I think there's a lot of people, their path in life, their journey in life, at some point in time, probably had conflict with loving self.
Yeah.
And so people had some great stories, especially Andrea.
Good stuff. Yeah, really
her
good
journey,
stuff.
which is continuing to progress even to this day, of learning how to love self. She wrote a great book, which we've recommended to some people. I even bought one for someone,
Yeah.
which I think is going to help them.
Right.
But, yeah, it's been such a great time working through this theme
Yeah.
and sharing with our guests.
I think it's really key because I think that, in this industry with what we do, self-love is so important, but it kind of reaches all different industries, all different walks of life, and
Yeah.
you see people struggling with it everywhere you turn. It doesn't have to just be someone who's in the entertainment industry. It could be, someone working on Wall Street or a doctor, someone in the
Yeah.
front lines, just what is their worth and feeling your worth and your value and what it
Yeah.
all entails. So,
And outside of these professions, what we're finding is a lot of people, adolescents, like just young
Mhm.
teens, are dealing with that,
yeah,
self-discovery and that self-image issues. I think that's why I loved Andrea's story because she brought it from her early days. But yeah, absolutely, people in those kind of industries where image is a big thing, but we can't forget it starts at an early age.
yeah. So, the first episode was Beauty Board.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And just, Kelly and Lisa just doing their thing, which honestly is a crazy story to have two young women
Yep.
who are just passionate for women who have just been dealt a hard card in life,
Yeah.
right? And we talked about it while we sat there, and some of these women, they weren't necessarily, homeless for long periods of time. They just
Yeah.
fell on bad luck
Yeah.
and lost a job, had something fall through, and then the next thing you know, they find themselves experiencing homelessness.
Right.
And for these women to come alongside
Yeah.
and say, hey, not only we're going to support you, but we're going to make you feel good from the inside
Yeah.
out. We're going to make you, when you look in the mirror, you're going to love what you see. And when you know,
builds a self-confidence.
Yeah.
It gives you a great boost. But
yeah, absolutely. So So I love what they are doing with the beauty board and how important it is because, we do look at ourselves in the mirror and we do see that reflection. And if we're not feeling great about what we see, then that just starts to tear apart who we are. So, so for them to just, be in a career in preschool and in acting and to be like, this is what we're going to do. It's crazy.
And this is what I love about it. My neighbor Dana mentioned this. I saw her when she was driving up the other day, and she was like, I loved that she watches The Rise Effect, and she's like, I love that these ladies like, well, we don't know what to do. We've never done this, and I think all our guests so far, we've done 7 episodes, have been like, okay, I like April, I've never run a homeless ministry or a homeless outreach. I mean, and like no one's done it, but they know there was a great need. No one has the expertise to follow. They just had to believe that there's something compelling them to do something good for a certain people group or certain people that are down on their luck. And I think that exemplifies what these ladies from the beauty board have done. And that's what I love about the Rise Effect. They found their rise, even though all the cards weren't there and all the signs and evidence that I am called to do this, to help out in this way. But they just knew that someone needed to step in. Yeah. So that's one of the things that moved me in their story.
Yeah, it's such a great story, and just hearing them talk about how they hosted, baby showers for single moms, which again is incredible, and just the outpouring support, putting bags together, getting them in fitness classes, whatever it took, they were finding a way to make it. I mean, even at one point, I think Lisa said that I just was like, I'll cut your hair. The hairdresser didn't show up, so I'm gonna watch a YouTube video on it. I'm gonna cut your hair. So it was kind of that's what it takes, right? It's like all hands on deck, which is kind of our whole philosophy with the Rise Effect, right? Because we've got a small team, but we're trying to do mighty things, and we do believe that, when God intervenes, mighty things can happen. Yeah.
And I think that's what causes a Rise Effect. Is I've shared this with some people. I think having a conversation maybe 2 months ago. What are the things that prompts you to or moves you in a way that the social issues that are before us, that says like someone should do something, or like I just see so much trouble in this area and it breaks me and I'm torn and I want something done. That's usually your entrance to involvement. That's usually your cue to step in and create something and do something. And so I think that's how people kind of find the Rise Effect, by looking at things that are taking place in this world and saying, it just hurts me to see people pained in that way. Yeah. And that was Andrea's story. Andrea, one of the things she says, I don't want people to suffer in silence. I love that line in her interview. And she was like, I just can't, it does something to her where she was like, I can't allow that. So she wrote books, she does mentorship, she does all these different things, so people are not going through this painful trial of having a low self-esteem, having no love for themselves on their own. Right. So, a lot of great stuff happened this month.
And you know what? As we move on to Andrea's story, also those of you who are tuning in to the YouTube Live, feel free to drop a comment, question, anything in the chat. Yeah. If we get to it, if I see it come up, we will go ahead and answer that. But what it was for me, I think still, I still am. It's still resonating with me. Was when Andrea said, when we talked about when is enough ever enough, and who is the author of our enough? Yeah. Who's in charge of our enough? Because we tend to kind of take control of our own enough and deciding what's enough and what's not enough. Yeah. So who are we allowing to control that? And I think that's so important, because if we're going to let society and the world and even ourselves tell us what's enough, we'll never be enough. Yeah. So who are we relinquishing control to be that enough? And I thought that was just such a powerful moment in our conversation, because we have to know who are we giving that permission to? Yeah. And that's a right that we
How dare you tell me I'm not enough?
Right, exactly.
And you give them the power. When you give them permission, you give them the power.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you release your power.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a serious, you know, it's a choice you have to make. And when you make that decision,
Yeah.
like you said, you're either saying that I'm I'm being empowered by who I'm giving power to author my enough, or I'm just going to lose all power because this world, this society, this person, that post is
Yeah.
going to dictate what my enough is.
So
you know?
true.
And I know Andrea went through it.
We shared that in the episode, one of our inserts on the research that we've done. The majority of teenage girls, especially the research that we did, because it was focused on Andrea, so it was teenage girls. The majority doesn't feel like they're enough. They
Right.
don't measure up.
Right.
The majority.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's our
crazy.
society, and that's what our generation is dealing with today, not feeling like they're enough. And how do they find they're enough is what I think you were just sharing now. How do you discover? How do you feel that you are adequate, you're enough, that you matter, that you're seen and you're significant, and you have some purpose that is beyond what every shallow thing that people might have said to you.
Yeah.
And discovering that is so important. That's why I hope that Andrea's episode inspires people.
Yep.
Because if you're telling me the majority of people deal with that issue,
Right.
then I think her story is going to be so beneficial for so many people. It helped me. Like,
Right.
just being there was so good. I know that you even shared, and we didn't get to share so much. It was an hour and a half interview. We
I know.
talked and we
I know.
talked.
There was
We
a
had so
lot.
much. There was so many things, and we had to take it down to a 15-minute episode. But there were so many things. So I hope people stay in touch with her and
Yeah.
find her posts and books and all the things that she provides for people to have a healthy self-image.
Yeah.
Because she has so much knowledge in that area and so much experience.
And speaking of books, that's it right there on my face.
Come on.
I will go ahead and put it right in there.
Look at that.
Perfectly Unfinished is her book, and it's a great. And I said this to her during the interview.
Yeah.
Is that it's you'd be like, oh, it's a woman's story, but it relates man, woman, adult, child. There's so many great points in that book that she brings up. And I do love that. It's like, she talks about, God will meet us in our most unfinished place.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. And even as, a guy reading that book, I could relate because I put so much perfection on myself. It
Yeah.
wasn't even like my family or anyone. I put perfection on myself.
Yeah.
You know?
really related to her story.
Yeah, big
Yeah.
time, because just we kind of both land at the same spot on the Enneagram. We're kind of both that same vibe. And
Perfectionist.
yeah, and just having that, being an entertainer and trying to be a perfectionist,
Yeah.
that is,
Yeah.
that's a recipe for disaster.
Oh yeah, that's a deadly combination.
Because it can't happen, you know what I mean?
Entertainment and perfection. First of all, there's no such. It's weird. It's a weird word because we call it perfectionist. We label it perfectionist. It's a good word to use,
Mhm.
but the reality, the ideology behind it is there's no such thing as a perfectionist because you can never be perfect.
Right.
But that's what you.
But you continue to
strive
strive that
for.
way.
You
Yeah,
strive
exactly.
for. So basically, it's an ending cycle. You never reach a destination because there's no such thing as being perfect.
Right.
There's no such thing. And so when you become perfectionist, you're just kind of trapped in this thing. And I know that was a part of your identity struggle in one of your seasons of life. And so I'm glad that even Andrew's book and her
Right.
testimony was inspiring for you because I know that you've conquered that and you've climbed that mountain. But what a great thing that we get to meet people that inspire us
Yeah.
and help us with our rise.
So, right, exactly. And I think that's really, what we're trying to do with the Rise Effect is to help each other and help others find their rise.
Yeah.
Others who are sitting there thinking about something, contemplating something, and not knowing if they should make a move.
Yeah.
But just like Lisa and Kelly, just like Andrea, Andrea was at a stoplight. You know what I mean? And that story was incredible. That she was at a stoplight and she had just basically, she was drinking before an audition.
Yeah.
Like she was, going into an audition and but not drunk, but
Talk about
intoxicated.
numbing yourself,
Right,
right?
exactly.
In life. Like, let me just get through this audition. Let me just get through life.
And having
She's
someone
done.
pull up to you and tell you to put on the radio, and you put
Yeah.
on a station that's a Christian station, and the exact words you were just thinking
Yeah.
We're
That you're
spoken-
crying out to.
were spoken back to you
Yeah.
through that media, which is why media is such a great thing, and it's why we want to use this tool
Yeah.
to reach the masses,
Yeah.
so that
You might be saying
all
something
start.
one day that someone is thinking out there and helps them to shift their perspective.
Right, absolutely. And and again, it's like you don't have to have dealt with an eating disorder or beauty images
Yeah.
to find your rise effect, because your rise effect could be, I'm an amazing DIY builder. I want to build things. Well, then great, because there's a community out there that needs homes. There's a community out there that needs shelter.
Yeah.
So it's, again, we cannot drive that point home more than just knowing that, like, listen, whatever that tug on your heart is, it's there for a reason.
Yeah.
And we believe everyone has that rise inside of them.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here.
And what's great about all these episodes that we'll continue to create, we're meeting people that need help. So if you live in Los Angeles and you want to get involved, that's a great place to explore. Is like, oh, maybe I want to help serve the homeless. Well, New Friends Homeless Center.
Yep.
Maybe I want to help with foster care kids of the Lighthouse. Maybe I want to help with animal rescue, the animal tracks.
Yeah.
Right. So there's like a lot of things that we're doing and uncovering and giving a voice to, where people can be like, yeah, I need to get involved. Let me pick a area of compassion and find it on the Rise Effect website.
Yeah.
RiseEffect.tv.
Thank you.
and so people can get involved. So I think we're gonna have so many things this year.
Yeah.
We're probably gonna shoot about 18, 19 more episodes.
Yep.
And there's gonna be a lot of people that are doing great things that you can get involved in.
Yeah.
And you can find your rise that helps other people rise.
Yeah. Couldn't have said it better myself. That's why we're doing it. That's why we're here. So, listen, like Tymme said, if you know of a community, if you know of someone, if you want to just go ahead and, you want to go ahead and nominate a community, an organization, do it at theriseeffect.tv. There is a tab to nominate.
Yep.
So nominate people and get them out there. We want to spread these stories that are uplifting and positive, these stories that create a rise each and every week.
Yeah.
So next week we'll be here with the teaser. We're going to give the teaser for what March is all about. I can't believe we're already in March. Tomorrow.
2023.
March starts tomorrow. So we will be launching the teaser for March next week. And then we're going to hit you with some episodes after that. And we'll wrap up with a TRE Live at the end of March like we always do. We're back. We're in it.
Yeah.
And we are rocking and rolling here. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for the support. Again, please subscribe to the channel. Please go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Hit the bell. Do all the things that you need to do.
Share.
Yeah, because
share these stories.
It's not about us. It's about these stories. Go out there and pick up Perfectly Unfinished.
Yeah.
Grab Andrea's book. Make sure you get that. It's a great read. You'll be glad you did that. But more importantly, share these stories and just get out there and be the rise. We'll see you next time.
God bless.